Blind consumerism is a pretty greedy tactic that a lot of businesses use to sell you something, either by being a popular brand or using a recognizable franchise or IP. Companies use this tactic to entice people to buy a product because it's related to something they love. Even if the product is shit, people will still buy into it because they just think, oh, this is something I know and like, why not buy it? Now, of course, this is not anything groundbreaking. Every business does this in a way, and it's really just a marketing technique. There's nothing really wrong with it. But recently, I feel a lot of games that have been coming out recently have been using this tactic, and it's definitely fucking with the quality of some of these games. We've been getting more remakes and remasters than original games from studios. A lot of sequels and reboots of beloved franchises have been pretty underwhelming. And a lot of these new games have been overpromising but just under-delivering. A good example of this is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, a platform fighter that uses characters from Nickelodeon shows like SpongeBob, Avatar, Ninja Turtles, and much more. And this was supposed to be a Smash Bros contender, and quite a bit of people were actually hyped for this game. But while the idea of this game was cool, the execution was kind of like, you have these great characters like Gur from Invader Zim, which is probably like the funniest character in any cartoon show in my opinion, and he doesn't say a single word. Mix in the lack of game modes and the fact that this game was made by Game Mill out of all studios, this game was destined to fall apart. But don't worry, because there's now a sequel to this game, and now there's voice acting and a bunch of new modes, which, why couldn't they just keep updating the old game? No one's going to pay for a sequel to a game that left a bland taste in people's mouths. This probably explains why no one is fucking playing that shit right now. And this is what I mean when I say games are overpromising but just under-delivering. They use the faces of beloved franchises and give us hope that this will be the next big thing, when in reality, these games are all just shovelware. This is why I believe blind consumerism is killing gaming right now, because players are being led to believe these games are good because of the franchise's reputation or the recognizable faces it uses rather than the actual quality of the game. So it shouldn't be a surprise that when Warner Bros. Announced their platform fighting game that included characters from iconic shows and movies, players got excited for it. And surprisingly, this game is actually pretty underwhelming. I'm just gonna get to the point, this game fucking sucks. MultiVersus is a free-to-play crossover platform fighting game that was developed by Play It First Games, and it released its open beta on July 26, 2022, and during this time, a lot of players had hope for this game because of how promising it was. Sure, it wasn't perfect, like there was connection and balancing issues, but it was a beta. They were still testing things out and updating the game with all the feedback they got. So when it was announced that in June 25th of the same year, the beta would shut down and we would have to wait like a whole year for the full release, players were slightly disappointed. But if all this wait meant that we would get a polished, good fighting game, then shit, we wouldn't mind waiting. So finally, on May 28th, 2024, this game fully released, and it's somehow downgraded in every single way possible. What the fuck happened during this game's development? What happened was that Play It First had to rebuild this game in Unreal Engine 5 for better connection and improved visuals, which, friendly reminder, games are actually kinda hard to develop, which is why most studios should take the time and patience when creating a game. But Play It First had only 1 year to basically rebuild this whole game from the bottom up. So of course, when the game finally came out, no surprise, features that were in the beta had to be cut out because they didn't have time to implement them and polish it. There was also a bunch of server and connection issues when this game dropped. There's a severe lack of gameplay and originality here. The monetization is super fucking greedy, and there's just a bunch of issues with this game. So to not go fucking crazy, I am going to take it step to step, explaining everything MultiVersus does wrong to show you guys why this game is just another showless cash grab. Now, of course, the main thing that makes this game stand out is no doubt the roster of characters on here. I mean, you have Adventure Time, DC, Looney Tunes, Steven Universe, and way more characters from other classic TV shows and movies. Now, I do think there are some weird character choices that they made here, like with how many old school characters there are from Looney Tunes and old movies like Gremlins, which I get these are classics, but do you really think kids nowadays are gonna know about characters like Marvin the Martian? season. But with MultiVersus being a live service game, they're gonna keep on adding more characters in the future, which is a good way to keep people excited for this game. Like, they just dropped the season 2 update and we got Beetlejuice and Samurai Jack, which I wouldn't be lying if I said seeing Jack didn't make me fangirl a bit. Now, unlike other crossover fighting games, MultiVersus actually does such a good job with the fanfare on here. The voice acting is not only present but pretty faithful to the characters. The specials and combos for some of these characters are really well thought out and balanced, and overall you could tell Player First put a lot of love when they were making all of these fighters. Now, with there being a lot of fighters to unlock in this game, I would assume it would take like at least 2, maybe 3 weeks to grind to fully unlock all of them. But how do you exactly unlock these characters? Well, I'm glad you asked. The way you unlock these new characters is with currency. Wow, this is definitely not gonna be shit. In this game, you can unlock fighters with either 2 currency. Fighter currency, which I'll just call fighter points, is currency you unlock by playing the game, like doing challenges, events, and etc. And then you have Gleamium, which is like the V-Bucks of this game. Now, fighters in this game cost 3,000 fighter points, except for new fighters, which cost 6,000. I'll get to that later. Now, I could just put 10 bucks to immediately unlock a character with Gleamium, but I'm a gamer. I'd rather work for my accomplishments, so it should take me a couple weeks to unlock all the fighters in this game, right? Right? When you first download MultiVersus, you have training challenges that give you a hefty amount of fighter points. But after you complete them, you stop getting challenges that give you fighter points, and instead you just get Battle Pass XP and perk currency, which is another currency that allows you to upgrade your characters with perks. But you don't have that many characters unlocked to upgrade. Well, there's always events coming out and they give a hefty amount of fighter points, but these are events, they come and go. So while there might be an easy way to get fighter points now because of an event going on, in the future that might not be the case because that event will be gone. Also, these events don't even give out that much. Like, the most I've seen them give out is like a couple hundred and that's it. Okay, how about when we finish matches, we can toast other players and give them fighter points to show how good of a fighter they were. You only get 5 fighter points when people toast you. That's like the equivalent of giving a homeless person 5 cents. And it doesn't help that you don't even get fighter points when you win the match, only fucking Battle Pass XP. Which, whoa, what a coincidence, you actually get a decent amount of fighter points in the Battle Pass. If only it went behind a paywall. Okay, what about Rifts, this game's PvE mode? Surely we get a good amount of fighter points in that mode, right? They only give you 10 fighter points for some of the levels. Not even all of them. Okay, I don't think I'm getting my math wrong here. These characters cost thousands of fighter points, but this game only gives us like 5, 10, sometimes 100 fighter points. But they give us this currency in slow increments instead of actually rewarding us with a good amount of points when we complete challenges or win matches. Maybe the reason they do all of this is to entice us to buy fighters with Gleamium instead of fighter points, which is basically this game's way of saying if you can't unlock this fighter, it's because you're fucking poor. This game basically has zero progression because completing challenges and matches gives you little to no rewards. If you want cosmetic rewards or fighter points, it's behind a battle pass that you have to pay for, and unlocking these characters that are literally the thing that makes this game special is almost impossible. For the 2, maybe 3 weeks I played this game, I only unlocked 4 characters if we don't count the other 2 characters they give you for free at the beginning. Sure, they let you play some extra fighters for a limited time, but the only reason they do this is just to give you a taste of who you can main in the future for you're more incentivized to buy them. Also, do you really want to play the new fighter Samurai Jack? I mean, who doesn't? He's so cool, right? Now, if you thought grinding for 3,000 fighter points was bad, imagine grinding for 6,000 since he's a new fighter. This shit could literally take weeks to get. Or you could just, I don't know, buy the battle pass for $10 and immediately unlock him. I get this is a free to play game and they have to get the bag somehow, but if this means that they have to lock the reason I want to play this game behind a paywall, I'd rather this game cost money for the progression isn't so monetized and shitty. And what makes the progression in this game worse is the lack of things to work for. Like I said earlier, the challenges in this game only give you XP for a battle pass you have to pay for. You don't get any interesting rewards for leveling up your account or fighters, and there's like almost no game modes on here, and the ones that we have are extremely lacking in replay value. Right now we have 1v1s, 2v2s, and local play, which are the basics, but later down the line we got free for all and ranked mode. Now the fact that these two modes weren't in the game since launch is super stupid. Like, free for all was literally in the beta. How do you think players would react to see it gone in launch? And two, these two game modes, for how simplistic they are, still manage to fail at being good modes. Games like Smash are so good for couch co-op because of the camera being so zoomed out, preventing the player from getting lost in these huge fights that can have up to 8 players. But in MultiVersus, even with the max players being set at 4, it's somehow a mess to go against these many players because of the slow movement and super claustrophobic camera angle. And even if you can ignore these faults and still want to play this game with your friends locally, you need an internet connection to log in for you can play the local mode in this game. Why does every live service game require internet connection now? Like, what the fuck? Shit, who cares? Because even if you can play this mode, you and your friends would only be able to play like 5 fighters, which gets boring really fucking quick. But what if you're a competitive player and this was going to be the next platform fighter that you were going to sweat on? Well, for the first 2 months after this game's launch, the ranked mode was this very fancy panel that said coming soon. So with the progression in this game already being shit and there not even being a mode where you can rank up and fight better players at launch, who was gonna stick to this shit? Well, with the launch of season 2, we finally got a ranked mode and it was actually pretty okay. Sure, nothing crazy, but now there's something to work for to show off our skill. And I liked how simple it worked. It was just a best of 1 match, which made these matches short but fun, and it helped players rank up quicker. Wow, this game might finally have some sort of progression. Now notice how I am talking in the past tense, because apparently this best of 1 system where you just had to win once and you moved on to the next player was just a bug, and they've now changed it to be best of 3 instead. How does a bug like this happen? And what's even crazier is how was the bugged version of ranked way better than what the fuck we have now? Instead of having fast matches that lets players rank up quickly, we now have to fight the same person at least 3 times, which if they're a sweat and absolutely destroys you, it is not fun to fight against the same person and at the end see that you only ranked up just a little. And besides these modes I just talked about, there's nothing else, which just makes me question what makes this game special. There's no unique fun modes, the characters, which are very well made, are impossible to get, gimmicks like being able to destroy parts of the level and the perk system, while kinda neat, are not really anything game changing, and that's it. If anybody came up to me and asked me what made MultiVersus so special, I literally could not answer that question. Other platform fighters like Rivals of Aether, while share similarities to Smash, stand out in its own way with its deep mechanics and crazy modding scene. And free-to-play games like Fortnite, while yes was kind of a battle royale ripoff, stood out with its cartoony style, then with its updates made it an even uniquer game. But MultiVersus doesn't do anything unique, it's just a Smash clone that is super underwhelming, and the player count shows how disappointed players are with this game. Sure, updates might come out in the future to try and save this game, but the damage is already done. People are tired of getting bad games at launch and waiting for it to get better with slow updates. I genuinely believe this game will have zero longevity because of how bad this launch was, with the horrible progression, lack of originality, and the monetization, which in my humble opinion, I think this game no doubt has one of the worst monetization I've seen in any game ever. Now, we already know how pay to win this game is, with it forcing you to buy these fighters, but holy shit, we haven't even gotten to the in-game shop yet. If you thought Fortnite had a crazy ass item shop, this game takes the cake when it comes to the most outrageous monetization I've seen in any game. Let's start with the bundles that are featured and even recommended for you in the store. These bundles include fighters, skins, announcer pack, and much more. And while this might seem like a good deal with how many things you're getting, most of these bundles cost at least around 20 to 50 bucks, and they are trying to sell as much bundles as they can to you, because at the time of recording the script, when I counted how many bundles were in the store, I at least counted 26 different panels trying to sell me these expensive special limited time bundles. This shit is almost as bad as the packs from Call of Duty. Now if you continue to scroll down the story, we then get to the other limited time shops. Yes, whenever there's a new event going on, a shop will open up including new cosmetics based on that event, as well as new currencies. So if you thought we already had too many currencies to keep track of, now you have to keep track of the limited time ones as well. And just like the other currencies with how long it takes to obtain them, these event ones are also a fucking pain in the ass to grind for, with it involving this shitty PvE mode, which I'll get to later, but it's okay because most of these cosmetics you could just buy with Gleamium. But if the cosmetic you want can only be bought with that one limited time currency, it doesn't matter because you could just buy the currency with Gleamium. This game wants us to buy currency to purchase more currency. What the fuck is this? And just like the fighters, some of these cosmetics are actually really well made and do such a good service to the show or movie with the references. But I'm sorry, you're not making me pay for not only the fighter but the skin as well with these crazy prices. Now other games also suffer with pretty shit in-game stories like Fortnite, which while I love that game and the effort they put with all the collaborations, there's just way too many items to purchase and a lot of them are too fucking pricey. But at least with Fortnite, the things you can buy are actually pretty cool. But in MultiVersus, I honestly believe Warner Bros is trying to sell things only true dumbasses would purchase. Like buying currency with currency is already bad, but you could get cosmetics like a work in progress banner, which I think this was made as an inside joke at Player First Games, showing how bad this game's development is. You can also get a pixel faint profile icon, which literally looks like they made it in MS Paint in like 2 minutes. And you can also buy a badge to show how many ring outs you have with a fighter you don't even own. You can even buy toast with Gleamium, which I just want to know who in the right mind is like, yes, I would love to purchase toast if I could give other players 5 fighter points. And while all these things are pretty dumb and stupid, there's nothing more stupid than putting your money into these fucking gems, which to show you how stupid these things are, let me introduce you to this game's PvE mode. Now the idea of having a PvE mode that updates with every passing season is actually pretty cool and something other live service games failed to do. Apex Legends in season 5 had this little PvE mode that updated every week with new levels that also progressed the story, but this mode was extremely bare bones and was replaced with comics literally the next season. And Overwatch, after years of hype for the anticipated PvE mode, was just like, yeah, this shit fire as fuck. Fucking cancel it. So seeing that Player First was actually putting some dedication into this mode by actually updating it and keeping it up should mean that this mode is actually pretty good and worth playing, right? Please tell me I'm right. When I first got into this mode, it started off with me battling other enemy AI, which while basic, it's what I expected and I don't mind them having some levels like this if this is something they're gonna keep on updating. But what about the minigames on here? There are some special levels that have boss fights, which is pretty cool, but the only boss I fought was the Joker since he was the very last boss in like the first rift. The other minigames that I played, however, included my fighter having to use a cannon to shoot targets, driving a tank to defend a crystal, using the shitty platforming to destroy more targets, and doing jump ropes. Okay, what? This is a fighting game, so why for the minigames, instead of having unique enemies to fight or cool levels like a wave mode where you have to fight a ton of enemies, they have you doing fucking jump ropes. These minigames and levels are all fucking lame and boring as hell, which is why the only boss I ever fought in this game was the Joker, because there was no reason for me to keep playing this shitty PvE mode. And what's funny is that they try to incentivize the player to keep playing this mode with every level having objectives to finish, but they even made these simple challenges such a fucking hassle to complete. Every level has this one challenge that requires you to play with a friend, which if you don't have any friends that you can force into playing this boring fucking mode, get used to not being able to 100% any level on here. There's also some challenges that require you to have a specific fighter to complete, which honestly, now that I look at it, yeah, it's honestly pretty challenging to have to put $10 into this game. But what isn't challenging or fun is locking levels if you don't have that fighter. What the fuck? This maybe wouldn't be so bad if this game wasn't so pay to win with its fighters. Actually, no, this game isn't just outrageously monetized when it comes to its characters. This whole game is extremely monetized. Even this PvE mode is pay to win, and let me explain why. Every rift in this mode has difficulties that you can pick from easy to hard, which okay, that's cool I guess. I would like to fight AI that's actually challenging, so of course I'm gonna play on the harder difficulties, but oh wait, I can't. It's all locked. To be able to play harder difficulties, these options are locked behind a gem level requirement, which by the way, gems are basically upgrades that you can get that revolves around the PvE mode. You can get them from doing challenges and completing some levels, but how does this play with the gem level system? Well, by using gems when completing levels, you can get XP to upgrade your gem stats, which in part also slightly raises up your gem level. But just like everything in this game, unlocking new gems and leveling them up is a fucking long grind and takes forever. Or actually, you don't even need to level up your gems. You could also just have a stockpile of them and raise your gem level. What could be the most efficient way to get a huge pile of gems quickly? Oh, I know, you could just go into the store and buy these bundles of gems with real life money. Who in their right mind thought this was fun? You are basically paying for simple game progression. You are paying to be able to change difficulties in a shitty PvE mode. Like, at this point, this should be a mobile game with how bad this monetization is. And it doesn't help that this system, even without the pay to win model, is still a fucking convoluted mess. Like, was it so hard for them to just let us choose a difficulty and maybe unlock the harder one when we finish the rift, instead of having to do research, watching videos, and reading a wiki page to understand how this stupid fucking mode works? There's no point in playing a game if I can just pay my way to skip it. It's like if The Last of Us was like, wow, this level is pretty easy, right? Do you want a challenge or something? Well, if you want that, either you could grind for hours to raise up your level, or just pay 10 bucks. It's not that expensive. This whole mode is no doubt the worst part of this game, which is saying a lot because this is MultiVersus we're talking about, and it's sad to see all of this fail because you could tell Player First or whoever's putting all their effort making this game wanted this to be the next big thing. I haven't even gotten into this game's lore, which I don't know if I even want to go in depth with it because I just don't care about it. Like, there are walls of dialogue that I have skipped in this PvE mode that explain this game's universe, but the only reason I'd be skipping this shit is because that's not why I'm playing this game. I'm not here to dissect the lore of a fucking crossover fighting game. I just want to see Jake and Garnet fight each other. I don't have time to read information for a game's lore that, one, I don't care about, and two, is extremely forced down our throat. Like, it's getting to the point where they are literally making original characters for this lore. Real quick, here's a picture of all the cool characters we could have in this game, from shows, movies, etc. There are some classic characters here, but instead, we're getting fucking Rendog. I don't like the feeling of having something forced to me, like being forced to play this shit game, being forced to get into this game's lore, and being forced into thinking this game is good. Now, I know I've been talking a lot of shit about this game, but I do want to say this game does have potential. Like, the core gameplay is there, it's just hidden beneath so much shit it's hard to notice it. And it's sad to see how this game ended up because there was a point where this game was the talk. Players generally believe this could be a Smash Bros contender and shit. I still see comments on some videos of people saying how much they love this game for its potential, and that's the problem. Nowadays, players are getting into games for the wrong reasons. It's no longer, oh, I like this game because it's good, but I like this game for its potential. Games like Starfield, while has a cool idea of being Fallout but in space, is extremely underwhelming, but you have fans of Bethesda games defending it because they can't see the faults of something they love so much. Look, I love Bethesda too. They made some amazing games, but I know when something is just not up to par. I know not to be a blind consumer to things that I love. If one of my most anticipated games ever came out and it sucked, as sad as that would be, I would have to admit to my disappointment. We can't just keep letting publishers and studios sell us with the idea of a good game. We want a good game. So to all the 2,000 players that are still playing MultiVersus, stop giving this game a reason to stay alive, to keep on scamming us. MultiVersus was made just to get some money from diehard fans, not to be the next big fighting game. Also, there are other games that do what it does but way better, so there's nothing to be too sad about when this game shuts down. Hey guys, it's me Luminant. Sorry if this video was late as fuck. I know MultiVersus is probably not being talked about right now, but this is a video I've been working on for a minute and I just had to finish it. I finally got a new mic so I can start working on new vids, and yeah, hopefully I can start being a little bit more consistent with my videos. In the description there are links to my socials. You can always like the video or subscribe to support my channel, or you can also join my membership for $1 a month with these cool badges and a shout out from me. Thanks for sticking around.